Where were we? Good evening, everyone. System Shock here with the 19th episode of the Dancer DLC for Cultist Simulator. Had a little bit of technical trouble, so I think well, usually if you see that screen, it means I've had to reset, but I don't believe that should affect where we are in the playthrough. So we did get past sort of a restlessness, we have a restlessness because of the Season of Ambitions. I'm probably going to want to either paint or dance that away, and I suppose I'd settled on... Oh wait, I can't paint it away because then I would need to... Okay, so I didn't anticipate this. What I will do to get rid of it... Ooh, I may not be able to do that either. No, yeah, we can bring someone into the cult, and we will use the restlessness in that case. Don't have any passion. I'm actually going to take a second to wait a while on the dream slot. Actually, I'm going to turn in the Grail Commission first, and then we'll deal with the restlessness. We are reading a book. Yeah, so the big challenge I had to deal with was the fact that I didn't time out this erudition very well. So I might be able to paint a little more life into them. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath. But it sure would be nice if I could get away with that. Rest of it, I'm just going to sit back and wait. I'm also going to reconsider my choice on hiring the shifty woman, or the experienced swindler. So it's 5 moth. It's likely that we'll be able to destroy the tentative evidence, but honestly, 2 minutes on the tentative evidence, we're not, it's going to take us longer to upgrade our scholarship. So am I really going to generate any notoriety as a result of this? Probably not. For the lifetime of the evidence? No, I'd have to be going out of my way. So in that case, we're just going to leave it be. All right, now this is what we were looking for, a case of mistaken identity. So essentially, actually we can read that first. This isn't who you'd hope for after all. They're no one of particular importance, and eventually they will pass from your memory. Perhaps there is no one else available that you would care to meet. So this is a pretty important milestone for us. This means that everyone who we can bring into the cult has been found, and so we're going to be able to use the talk verb for other purposes. Now I'm still going to focus on getting that commission back in. So of course that's going to generate more mystique. We also have it here, so we'll have 4 on the table before before the end of the season of Suspicion. But again, I'm not too worried about that. I have what was requested. And I now have a free passion, which I can throw into the wood, which we'll do right now. If I have enough passion, I can walk the dream road to the wood. If I have the right knowledge, I might be able to find a way beyond it. Now I pass between scar-barked trees. The moon passes behind branches, though her fingers remain in my hair. I am stumbling over roots now. It is tempting to drop to all fours to avoid the low branches. Pale wings move deep in the night. So one of the things I'm going to be trying to do here is just preserve this erudition as long as possible, and that's just so that the lessons learned don't expire. We know that we're going to get our 4th profound scholarship, our 4th lesson learned to upgrade the scholarship, but the path that I take to it, there are more or less effective ways of dealing with it, let's say. All right, I've received currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So if I get an erudition, so much the better, but we didn't, so. And come to think of it, I may be able to use this restlessness in the performance at the Gaiety, so I think I'm actually going to wait the 28 seconds. As much as I like to use the talk verb for something else, I think in this case it's worth waiting to see how things turn out. The time gets taken up one way or the other, so if I can turn restlessness into money, so much the better. I guess painting is one way you turn restlessness into money, but you know what I mean. All right, possibilities. So that's our 2nd lesson learned. Now, as you can see, we've got multiple cards that are about to expire, so we'll combine the 2 here. In fact, this kind of already suggests to me it's a lost cause to try and extend the life of the erudition, but we're going to cling on to hope. I've picked up odd facts here and there. If I spend time studying what I've learnt, I could increase my reason. So I think what's going to happen, this is longer than 60 seconds, but we've got 11 seconds plus whatever it takes for the restlessness. So I just don't see a way that the erudition survives long enough for me to do what I need to do. Well, The stage await. Oh, sorry. That was us at the Gaiety. So maybe we've got a lease on life for this thing. So here we will take. Do I want my reputation? Well, I don't have any. I really don't have any passion to throw into it. So this is going to be a reputation-based painting. We will extend the life of the 39-second erudition. Yeah, I mean, it's a very slim chance, but we might actually be able to make this work. And of course, because I need to get rid of the restlessness now, I'm going to use it to bring people in. There's a few different ways that I can approach this, but honestly, I just want everyone into the Wildwood Club. So I think I'm just going to find acquaintances. We're going to go from the back row to the front, and anyone who's not a believer will bring them in. So, for instance, Enid is the first candidate here. Enid speaks softly, and sometimes her gaze doesn't focus on anything visible. It may be that you've dreamed the same dreams. So here we go. And recruit an acquaintance by invoking Moth. This one is ready. Better not. I must be careful of the company I keep. All right. So because we don't need to provoke Lantern quite... Well, actually, I guess I kind of do. We'll try it one more time with Cat Caro, but the real focus is going to be expeditions for the next little bit. After we deal with potential Light in the Skull events. Crowded thoroughfares by day, a fog-wrapped labyrinth by night. I'll set my minions to searching for opportunities. It's a minute, so we do know that there's going to be a mystique that gets picked up here. So if anything, we've just kind of extended the time we're going to be under investigation, but I'm not that worried. Colors of the night, I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. It is a pure reputation painting, so I'll add a funds here. This might be a waste of money, but we'll give it a shot. And let's go to the Temple of the Wheel again. Okay. Rumors on rumors. I came to the Temple of the Wheel, that high and jagged rock, that memorial to dead gods. Those who take their own lives sometimes first cast themselves from its peak in dream. I found another sleeping soul, scratching the sign of the eye into the lichen at its peak. I do not recall what passed between us, but I will recognize their face in the waking world. Now, of course, if we use the peculiar rumor here, this will generate a case of mistaken identity and a notoriety. So at this point, peculiar rumor is definitely not the way to go. But it's in other circumstances, it can be helpful. I'm actually debating as to whether or not I want to be going back to the wood at this point. We really should be moving on, so I'll still send Cat Caro out. Okay, another season of suspicion. My own heart pumps more strongly today. And Moth sheds its skin. The novice must only shed their clothes and their past. Enid speaks softly, and sometimes her gaze doesn't focus on anything visible. She sees things that others don't. So we're gonna just head right into the next recruit. Madame Bichet will have a commission for us in a minute, but for the meantime, let's deal with our more immediate concerns. Saliba. Saliba is a man of prodigious appetites. He is long past the point where their satisfaction has given him any pleasure, but he has learnt so very much. So I think I could actually probably throw one of these glimmerings in if I really wanted to. But not quite what I need right now, so we'll just chuck a Barber's Warning in. This one is ready. And we'll call it there. If I needed to use the Barber's Warning for something else, that might be helpful, but really at this point the glimmering's more about supplementing than anything else. Some days are better than others. Sometimes the sky is nothing like a filthy sheet. Sometimes the river runs clear. So if we have any dread, that's helpful to deal with. Otherwise, not too much to work with. Oh, I think we might make it. Yes. I mind the library. My recent work is considered notable. I have exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. So, we probably paid for that. Oh, actually, that was a pretty lucrative little painting about how clever I am. Okay, so contentment's always nice. Definitely looks like we got more than we bargained for as far as mystique. Yeah, we definitely extended the investigation into us, but honestly, I don't actually see that as a particularly bad thing. We also didn't generate staleness. So I need to be very careful in terms of how I'm handling the study verb. Obviously, the point of doing this was to extend the life of the erudition. I've picked up odd facts here and there. If I spend time studying what I've learned, I could increase my reason. And I could try painting again, but again, trying to keep a low profile, and painting is generally not consistent with that. Then again, neither is dancing, but we'll perform at the Gaiety nonetheless. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. So entry consultants. Now, one way I could look at this would be the entry consultant could be used as a sacrifice in the rite of the crucible soul, but, you know, and I mean, the winged doll is not something, it's not useless to me by any stretch of the imagination, but it's maybe not, I'm not quite at the point where I want to hire people to do something. So, you know, oddly enough, some of the things that I could summon with Moth probably would be kind of helpful right now. So there's a small argument in terms of using a hired hand in the right, but you know, with 6 mystique on the table, I probably should just cool it for a bit. You know, lay the groundwork for the expeditions, and then, you know, then we can start maybe doing some of the fancy business. So, Moth sheds its skin, the novice must shed their clothes, and only shed their clothes and their past. Saliba understands blood, he does not yet understand birth. So as you can see, our attention is shifted once again. In this case, it's a recruitment effort, so pretty much, unless we get a commission, we'll be adding new people to the Wildwood Club. Eau Claire is an acquaintance. Eau Claire has a scholarly aspect and a morbid streak. Okay, so Season of Despair coming up. This is kind of important given that we are close to studying some of these books, or some of these, I guess what would they qualify as? Huh, this counts as a text. I guess in academic senses, they call text things that aren't actually like printed words text, so I guess that counts. Right, Moth must shed its skin, the novice must only shed their clothes and their past. Eau Claire is quiet, meticulous, and remorseless. Alright, so Madame Bichet's got another commission available for us, so let's have a chat. She's seeking pieces for the notorious Carisham Review. Again, I want to be careful of the potential from the Season of Despair, and we have a chance to show our stuff at the Gaiety Theatre, so tonight they'll notice that. Excuse me. Of course, only a few more seconds before we can finally catch our last... oh, sorry, I forgot to read the text. Let's do the commission right away. Oh, very substantial grail. I don't have the power for that. So we are going to have to wait a little while before we can follow up on any other commissions. Now, one thing that is available to me, particularly now that you know, I'm kind of getting to the end of a lot of my, I don't want to call it busy work, but you know, in terms of just finding certain contacts, hitting the limits of what books that I can read, so on and so forth. I'm approaching a point now where reading leveling up or subverting certain lore might be a viable option for me. It's generally one of the It's one of the last things that I like to do, just because it does wind up taking up a lot of resources. But it's also fair to say that we're going to be waiting a while to go on these expeditions, particularly because I'm bringing people into the cult, and I've been sitting on that for a while, so that's not a trivial task. We've got what is it? One. So I'm not going to count the hangers on, because normally I wind up using those as a nice little dump for influences that I'm worried about. But skipping the hangers on, I think we've got 1, 2, 3. Sorry, let me count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different people. So that's about 11 minutes. I think so. I'm pretty sure it's 11 minutes of recruitment that I'm going to be doing. And we don't have that many expeditions to go on. So again, I may be using my study verb to level up some of this lore. I may want to make some decisions in terms of what lore I subvert. And I'm probably going to have to make those decisions before I move it up, because I've got some... So for instance, with Grail, if I want to unlock Very Substantial, well, I level this up, I level up the Megalesian Incantation, now I can do Very Substantial Grail. I can't do the same for Edge, but I might be able to do a series of subversions to get the Knife Secret up. Barber's Warning, Moth is a great example of something that maybe I'm willing to give up, because, yeah, we can double up the Barber's Warning, but that'll give me 3 Wood Whispers. Well, I've already got 2 Wood Whispers that can move me up to a second Ecdysis Parable, which can move me even higher to Moth, and the important factor there is that this will allow me to do even higher level recruitment. So in this case, there's a lot of sense in terms of leveling up Moth, but all I really need here are the Wood Whispers. I can actually use the Barber's Warnings, and I can just chuck them into, excuse me, into other principles. Excuse me. Either way, though, let's focus on money. The stage awaits hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Another appeal of Winter and Lantern, of course, is being able to move up through the Mansis. So I mine the library. So the time has come. And I can't remember if you can put Moth. No, you cannot. So I believe it's Winter or Lantern. So I can do Brighter Illumination or a Deeper Concentration. I think we'll do a Deeper Concentration in this case. I will listen for the voice of the Madrigard. Okay, so again, more recruitment efforts. So we'll talk about the Wildwood Club. We will now bring Porter. Porter was a barber until the court case. This one is ready. All right. And then explore. I thought I was going to... Oh, that's right. We're going to use the Furtive Truths. Odd nooks remain in the quiet countryside here and there for those who know where to look. Moth sheds its skin, the novice must only shed their clothes and their past. Porter plies his razor and his scissors to the great advantage of his friends. Alright, on to Victor. Victor is a sly fellow, and he knows an unusual opportunity when he sees it. Now for us, the Forsaken Reach is actually the one area I'm particularly interested in. Tonight they'll notice that, but we will do the expeditions in quote-unquote order. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer, a little too personal for me to feel comfortable, but I can sell it in the second-hand market. And it's not critical that I do this, but I think we are just going to keep recharging the gaiety. We're doing incredibly well as far as finances are concerned. Like, it's almost embarrassing at this point. But, you know, again, it's just nice to be able to have the option. And it's almost at this point that it's kind of hard to argue for an alternative at the moment, right? In this case, we're a little out of sync in terms of some of the objectives. So it's just something, you know, it's something for me to do. It does have the potential nice side effect of occasionally generating a Course of the Heart, which will be helpful when I get sick. And then, of course, because I have so much money, it's not as painful for me to give up the... it's not as painful for me to give up the money. Stillness is a virtue, so... I'll just capture it all and then move this one up. We can get the description. So here we have a silent intensity, which I actually get a little bit. For some reason, I tend to get this less. I think it's just because I like Lantern so much. I tend to use the Lantern lore when leveling it up. But this chilly stillness is the stillness of certainty. So for some reason, I just kind of saw a comparison between Flawless Physique and the silent intensity. Just someone with quite a bit of control over their both their physical as well as mental activity. That's sort of the way that I imagined it. Very deliberate movement. All right, Moth sheds its skin. The novice must only shed their clothes and their past. Victor is a sly fellow, but loyal. Now, incidentally, if you are focusing, you know, again, I don't need to go too far down the, you know, the rabbit hole of how I like to play the game and how I, you know, again, I kind of let my largely just intuitions kind of draw me to particular choices. One consideration that you might make when you go for these upgrades would be, what are some of the things that you're trying to do when it comes to, you know, your overall playthrough? One of the larger determining factors, I think, particularly for imagination and scholarship, would be, you know, what kind of upgrades do you want to do? Because as you get to higher level lore, it can be a little bit harder to get a hold of some of the, you know, some of the necessary components. In fact, particularly when it comes down to the ones that require fascination and the fact that the fascination can breed. Again, we've got fleeting reminiscence as something that can be used to keep fascination at bay. So, you know, the worry of fascination isn't quite the same. But if you can do something to avoid having to keep a fascination on the table, or, you know, even just the simple fact that the fascination might get scooped up. So even if you're not worried about it breeding, just the fact that you have an important component, which it's quite likely, maybe not quite likely, but there's a very real possibility that it can be pulled out from under you at exactly the moment that you need it. Having a certain skill to be able to bypass that can be helpful. And then, of course, what that will do is that will also inform what headquarters you wind up keeping. I almost inevitably move my headquarters too late, but again, old habits, right? So, as one of the comments said, it's not that I'm stuck in my old ways. It's just that the secret history's changed out from under me. So. In any case, we'll not worry about that right now. We're locked into our improvements, and what we're really focusing on is moving people up in the organization. So, Craigsley, the astronomer and avant-garde poet, has developed an interest in the esoteric arts as his health wanes. Well, today is his lucky day. And we have Kerisham. This place merits closer investigation. So yeah, we've got more than what we need as far as furtive truths are concerned. Of course, we can always just upgrade the secret histories to the third level. However, I have been keeping the study verb open, so let's start reading some books. And actually, it just occurred to me that I don't need to worry about the effects of Stum anymore, because the season of despair is over, basically. 37 seconds, but it won't be there by the time we finish the film. So, Cadmium Nitrate film labeled Stum, silent, or perhaps mute. The director's name, Yernet Krossa, is shakily appended. So we'll buy a projector. The film rattles through the projector, glows silently on the wall. It is the story of a foolish student of forbidden sciences who recruits a dancer to entice the dead back into the world through a flaw in its skin. It's a fiction, but here on the title card is laid out the operation of the declining sun. And of course, well, maybe not of course, but I believe that should allow us to move up to the white door. So it's not an entirely random choice for it, but I mean, I did kind of want to do things largely in order, but in this case, particularly because we know we're going to be able to avoid any... Oh, actually, there is a reason for me to go to the Mansis, though. Now I pass between scar-barked trees, the moon passes behind branches, though her fingers remain in my hair. I'm stumbling over roots now. It is tempting to drop to all fours to avoid the low branches. Pale wings move deep in the night. And Slee speaks earnestly of his theories to all who will listen, the stars as tiny wounds and the sun as a hemorrhage of glory. His poetry is more eccentric than ever. So on to Dorothy. Dorothy is an enthusiastic sort with an eclectic reading habit. She's fascinated by my hints about the shapes beneath the world's skin. Tonight I sense opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. Tonight they'll notice that. So I was kind of hoping for a Course of the Heart, but I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. So, once again, perform at the Gaiety. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Clouds part. The wolf despairs prowls elsewhere. No dread empowers this despair. It's over for now. And we have a Season of Ardors coming up, which is rather nice. That will get rid of the... that'll help me get rid of the dread pretty much right away. My thoughts will wander and I will follow. Old emotions will come to roost. The rite is depicted in chilling detail. Here is the flaw in the world, an influence shimmering in luminous paint. Here is the dancer establishing an irresistible rhythm. Here the scholar recites the operation. And now the misty dead whirls through the flaw to consume him. The film closes on the dancer's watchful eyes. Had she intended it all from the start? So, I earn some dread, an operation of the declining sun. So this invokes, acknowledges, and welcomes the passage to silence. And we've gained the sunset rite. This is definitely a big one for us. Because of course the sunset rite is something that I can use to... It's something that I can use to use influence in rituals. Okay. So, let's now read Deoris, an occasionally coherent catalogue of the secret gods. This is an English translation of a volume dealing with the powers of the wood. This volume deals mostly with the hours of the wood, the moth, the black flax, the ring yew, among others. I'm sure at this point everybody's asking, what others? Game definitely does not give up its secrets easily. Dorothy is an enthusiastic sort, and I have turned her enthusiasm to our advantage. So, as always, we head back to recruitment, Wildwood Club, Barber's Warning, and this time Leo. Leo is an earnest sort with an interest in the occult. He hangs on your hints about the invisible arts. Didn't I have a contentment somewhere here? Oh, right, yeah. Season of Ardors is coming up. So, there's a chance that we might be able to get a vitality out of this. It's never certain, but I figured we might as well give it a try. Another furtive. The velvet is strong at the well in the wood, and the velvet is the hour that keeps secrets. But now and then, she lets a little secret fall, like a crumb at a feast. Last night, I found a moss-clad rock written all around with the secrets of another history. I might give thanks to the velvet, but it will be wiser not to draw her attention. So it's not terrible that I have... Sorry, it's not terrible that I have another furtive truth, but certainly I was hoping for something a little bit more So, we're going through the wood, and now we will use the operation of the declining sun. Approaching the white door. There is a house in the wood, and a door where the dead sometimes go. I have read the paths the dead take. Sorry, read of the paths that the dead take. Memory is a maze, and at its heart, a garden. Alright, so perhaps here I just want to get rid of the fascination and the dread at the same time. Once again, we've got an opportunity. Tonight they'll notice that. Moth sheds its skin, the novice must only shed their clothes and their past. Leo is an earnest sort, but he's prepared to do what he must. So on to Violet. Violet has always given unstintingly of her time, easing the pain of the dying. Just trying to think if there's anything I want to do with the explore verb right now. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. Now this one I'm going to have to use a we'll still have enough time, but obviously I'm running short on health because of the sickness. If I want, I can spend right away, but we do have a Course of the Heart, so we might as well take advantage of it. The glory is a question, and the moth always answers yes. The black flax's answer is no, and that will always be its answer. So we got some erudition for our trouble. So we were quite literally one book away from getting that secret erudition we needed, but I wasn't 100%. Obviously, moth is so much more associated with passion, so it's fair to, be surprised when when a moth book turns up erudition. There's no again, there are things in Cultist Simulator, even ours for that matter, that participate in more than one principle, and there are some locations that you could sort of say match that. So certainly, I don't think anybody could kind of call this a one-note game. But on the other hand, right, you kind of play the odds, you deal with the experiences that you have, and if you haven't committed everything to memory, generally you don't associate moth texts with erudition. So on to what is contained by silver, a dire bestiary of the horrors to be found in mirrors. This is a recent edition of the 3rd century text by Pomander. A dire bestiary of the horrors to be found in mirrors. This is a recent edition of the 3rd century text by Pomander. exact same text. Alright. Moth sheds its skin, the novice must only shed their clothes and their past. Violet likes to paint. She has a gift, although she's always been very modest about it. She never puts human figures in her paintings. There are enough people in the world. And I went a little bit over. Again, it's always very nice to have the minutes fly by. Can't say the hours fly by. That would have a very different meaning for these videos. But I also need to be conscious of just my time, and your time for that matter. So thank you very much for watching. As always, if you have been enjoying this series and have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so just down below. And if you'd like to be notified when videos become available, there is a little bell beside the subscription button that you can enable. I try to make sure that there are Cultist Simulator videos at 6:30 every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. If you also like these videos, please maybe consider giving a like, and a comment also is helpful. I do really like interacting with all of you, but those are some things that help the videos get noticed. And I will also just take the second to say, I actually hear from quite a few of you, that you don't normally comment or you don't necessarily know what to say. That is something I completely understand, and I feel like I should just say that every once in a while, because I do ask a lot. It's obviously, I run the videos, I do the usual calls to action at the end, and it's part of the format. It's definitely something that works, and I appreciate that number of you have done that, and I never want to take that for granted. But with that in mind, I hope, I do every once in a while just want to take the chance to, or take the opportunity to say, if you don't do that, I do not take it personally, and I very much appreciate those of you who do, but I never get to, if you've commented before, let's say, and I don't see a comment on a video, I'm like, why aren't they commenting now? Don't they like me anymore? But it also gives me a chance to say how much I appreciate it, because I do know there are a number of you who don't normally comment who have done so, and as someone who doesn't comment a lot on videos, it means quite a bit to me. I'll see you all tomorrow for what I think should be the last episode for the week. Take care. See you then.